Well, we're here to discuss crime. You know, we're in the business of crime prevention and intervention. It's part of our daily business, so we're here to do our usual, and that is to lay out the progress of the Neighborhood Safe Zone initiative, and particularly Neighborhood Safe Zone 6. We just came out of it probably about a week ago. And we're here today to discuss what we were challenged with, and the opportunities that we were able to tackle in the streets. So thank you all for coming. We basically recovered 2 guns in Neighborhood Safe Zone 6, which were the boundaries from the 18th and 19th Street and Bow Street areas. And the narcotics that we confiscated were cocaine and marijuana. We gave out 9 traffic citations during that process, and 2 non-traffic citations, as well as we had 3 arrests in that Neighborhood Safe Zone 6 initiative. Those charges included fleeing and eluding, possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession with the intent to distribute cocaine, escape, firearms violations, and loud music. And as you know, we take the mobile van out with us, and we stationed the mobile van twice. We've had to do it twice in that particular area, and specifically stationed it near the 19th and Foster Streets area, which we have collected enough data to know that it was time to go out there and deem it as a neighborhood safe zone area because of the data we collected from citizens and residents who were just above and beyond tolerating the crime activities. With regard to our public works, we were able to collect about 4 tons of material. That's a combination of both bulk waste and regular trash waste in that area. We're very proud of being able to do that. Hopefully the residents now will be able to take the leadership role and begin to keep their neighborhoods clean, with the trash being in their trash cans and sweeping down their porches and keeping their steps and the sidewalks free of litter, which often causes the perpetrators to come in and do their illegal dumping in the back alleys. With regard to our housing sweep, we did 123 properties in terms of inspections, and we gave out 31 notices of violations. And those violations included anywhere from high grass to weeds to, again, broken water spouts and maybe broken banisters, those types of things that are obvious to begin to deteriorate the neighborhood and cause for blight, etc. Of those 31 notices of violations, 2 of them were deemed as condemnations. And so the landlords have been cited for that, and we will be addressing that as we move forward with the condemnations. And as you know, we go in with our light foreman to verify whether there's any missing lights out, broken lights, and we were able to repair 53 lights in that section of the city at a cost of $1,200. And that completes my report for the Neighborhood Safe Zone. We have already identified Neighborhood Safe Zone 7, and we'll be out there in that area, not to disclose it right now. As you know, we've decided not to disclose our neighborhood safe zones in advance so that we don't tip the perpetrators off, and it seems to be working well. So we will not be announcing the location of Neighborhood Safe Zone 7 today, just to know that we will be launching it in the next couple of days. With that being stated, we're prepared to have further discussions on overall crime activities once I conclude with my presentation on the Neighborhood Safe Zone 6. And so at this point, I will just allow the media to ask me any questions on Neighborhood Safe Zone 6 before I turn it over to Chief and his command units to talk about what they're doing out there in the streets on ongoing crime and matters. Yes, Emily.
What were the boundaries of neighborhood?
18th and 19th Street and the Bow Street area. It also includes some areas around 15th to 20th, and that's in the east and west, and on the north and the south, State Street to Hurst Street. So we had a pretty large encompassed area that we were tackling.
When was that?
We started Neighborhood Safe Zone July 9th, and it ended July 17th.
The property owners who were cited for various code violations during prior neighborhood safe zones, maybe the first or second one, where do those stand in
Well, they have so much time to get them repaired, and if they don't, then we pursue the paperwork to take them to a DJ's office. And the DJ then does whatever they need to do to further enforce.
How much time for that?
30 days. Sometimes we can give them extensions depending.
So some of those would be with the DJ now, then?
If it got to that point. If it got to that point.
Are you guys planning on doing kind of like a retrospective to look at, whether anything has, whether these things have been addressed, which have been addressed, which are still pending, and so on?
It's just ongoing work in building housing. This is just a regular routine that we do. If someone does not comply within that timeline, then those are normal procedures.
Are you finding compliance?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If you give a person a $1,000 fine and that fine continues to grow, that impacts them. Just addressed a matter with a landlord that was out of town. And just because he was out of town doesn't stop the clock. And he received a $1,000 fine. And so he's now moving on his repairs.
Do you have the estimates of how many fines you collected or
Well, we don't collect the fines. They go through the DJ's office, so no, we wouldn't. Again, that's ongoing too. It's a global system. So to go in there and begin to extract it is very voluminous. It's a lot of work to do. We just don't have the manpower to do that. But I'm sure if Dave took the time to extract it, we could probably try to provide you something at a later time.
Do you think it's working?
Absolutely. Anytime.
Like concrete to like how you feel like this neighborhood safer.
I believe so. We get a lot of, the test of honor time is the feedback I get from the residents, and people take time to write me letters. And people take time to write me letters and say that it's working and I want it in my neighborhood. And as I've said repeatedly at these press conferences, anytime we can get guns off the streets, out of the hands of those who possess them illegally, that's a great story. That's a success story. And whenever we can get someone who is not abiding by our codes and ordinance in terms of maintenance of their properties, and we cite them and we get them moving to repair it, that's a success story. Whenever we have lights out in the street that we weren't aware of, and we go out and we survey it and we replace those lights and get them working, that's a success story. And so every time we have these announcements, we're talking about progress that's being made in the city.
How about the cost of the lights? Overall, do you have an estimate on how much this is costing? And preventing crime is worthwhile.
Well,
Estimate on how to fund all this?
yeah, well, again, I've always said public safety is one of our number one priorities. We're in the business of public safety. I don't worry about the price tag. But again, as I just said, in terms of this particular neighborhood safe zone, we had 53 lights out that needed to be repaired. We repaired them, and it was at a cost of $1,200. And we've been averaging anywhere between $1,200 to $1,500 per neighborhood safe zone. So we've had, this is our 6th neighborhood safe zone, so if you look at anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 over the last times 6, and we're talking about less than $10,000.
You have a question?
And again, those funds are budgeted. It's not like if we don't have enough funds, we'll pull something from another department that may have a surplus. Yes, Emma.
This is separate but related. During the last receivers meeting, there was a mention of a task force that was going to sort of aggressively pursue people who have the highest accumulated fines and fees.
Yeah.
When is that going to actually launch?
Well, actually, this has been in the making for a year now. It was the initiative of both Dave Patton and myself. We started this discussion last year. We made mention of it several times at the Public Safety Advisory. It was all part of the mayor's enhancement revenues. And so we were able to overcome a glitch that was identified by a president judge, Dauphin County President Judge, that we did not have the jurisdiction to collect fines, and we were able to find a way to do it where there was no glitch. And right now, Captain Cleary along with Dave Patton, myself, and Chief Ritter. We brainstormed and put together a team to begin to, along with some constables that we have been meeting with for the last year and a half now, that we're very excited about it, that do this kind of work. We found a way to be able to extract data without turning over our whole system to them. That was the glitch. And still be able to allow them to go out and serve the warrants.
And have they started doing it yet?
Have we started it yet?
Yeah.
No, we haven't. We'll start. We will announce our press conference next week, and they will be present at the press conference, and we'll talk a little bit more about the program.
And so they'll address people who have high levels of fines or multiple fines and not been addressed?
Well, my strategy is not to waste a lot of time and energy on someone who owes me $25, but rather someone who owes me $1,000 or $2,000. And so, we're now looking through tons of documents that will clearly break out the dollar amounts and how old the warrants are. The challenge is some of these people have left town, and it would be costly to go across state lines to get them. But if it's a matter of getting the cooperation of our neighboring municipalities and states, and it is voluminous, then we will certainly take on that challenge. But now we're staying focused on regional.
Mayor, do you know what the status is of the row homes there on Susquehanna Street? I know there was talk about tearing them down. Did you
It's a process. I think we put it out in the media. I'm not sure whether your station got it, but I know WGAL got it, and we gave them a timeline of what happens when we have to demolish properties that are deemed as historic. It has to go through the historic board for their review, and generally when houses are burned down, not replaceable, we don't really have any pushback from historic board. So we're waiting for that process to play itself out, and once it goes through the process, we'll be able to go in with the team to demolish the properties.
Do you know what that timeline is?
We hope, I got it, Bob. We hope that it would be done by August. Yeah.
By the end of August or by August?
Again, sometime in August. I'm not going to let you narrow me down to a specific date because the board meets, and then the board could say they're not meeting, and something could come up. So, hopefully we'll have it all done by August. Their decisions, that is, and then we can move forward with progressing with the demolition. So hopefully we'll have the houses torn down sometime in September.
So you've done 7 zones or 6 zones?
This is our 6th, and we're approaching neighborhood 7.
Do you have a total count of guns and all that?
Oh yeah, we've given those out over numerous press conferences.
You don't have anything in the top.
But globally, since 2010, we've confiscated well over 200 guns off the streets of Harrisburg. Out of the neighborhood safe zone, it's probably fair to say that out of that 200, we probably got about 25 off of the streets in the neighborhood safe zone. Yeah. Since March, yeah.
And would it be safe to say that pretty much every one of those has been either unregistered or illegally possessed or something along those lines, or stolen?
Every one of them. Yeah, absolutely. That it, everyone? Well, I'm going to turn this press conference over to Chief Ritter. I'm headed out, and they can take over talking about the general crime report that they give out to the media. All right? Take care, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. This morning we're going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to have my captains from the divisions give a little brief on what they're doing in CID, and I'm going to have Captain Cleary talk a little bit about patrol. As you see, we have an array of officers up here. We'll explain why these 2 officers here on the end are here this morning, and we also have Sergeant Wheeling from our street crimes unit. So without delay, Sergeant Carter can come up and give a brief on CID operations.
Hello, everyone. On 7/15, which was on a Monday, our vice unit did a raid. We concentrated on 5 different stores scattered throughout the city. We arrested 7 individuals. We confiscated 7,168 grams of synthetic weed of a street value of $53,300. On 7/24, we served a robbery warrant along with our task force unit, the county task force unit. We confiscated 2 guns, illegal guns, arrested 1 person responsible for a robbery, $24,000 in cash, and 5 grams of crack, already cooked up crack, cocaine. On the 27th, which was this past Saturday, the 2 officers at the end right here did an excellent job, pursued leads and what have you. They were able to confiscate 138 bundles of heroin, a .40 caliber handgun, an AK-47 rifle, assault rifle. The investigation on oyster cases, they're ongoing. Chief Ritter has tasked us with cleaning up the city, getting all the guns that we can off the city, zero tolerance. And that's what we're striving to do. We want to make Harrisburg a safer place, make our visitors that come to our city feel safe, be it to our nightclubs, be it the people that work here. We want everybody to feel safe here and to come into our city and to have a good time. And we're doing our part by making sure that we get the bad guys responsible for the robberies, for the property crime, and for illegal drug selling.
Were people arrested for that latest bust?
With the AK-47, that is a joint cooperation with Feds, DEA. The person is being sought. I cannot release that information. On all these cases, we're not only prosecuting on the state level, we're taking everybody federal too. Anybody that totes a gun while they're selling drugs, anybody that commits a gun crime in our city, we're going to try to do both federal prosecution plus state
So the person being sought,
prosecution.
not in custody, correct?
No, he's not in custody, sir.
Is he in the immediate area?
I don't know where he is right now, but he is actively being sought.
I mean, given this nature of drugs and guns, is the public at risk?
The general public will not be at risk, sir.
Where was that? Where did you find the heroin?
The heroin was found on the hill in District 6. I don't want to give you the exact location in District 6, but it was District 6.
So then why tell us?
It's,
I mean, you
I
can't
can
give us
expound
a
on
name.
that.
I mean-
Yeah, that's basically just telling you what we're doing out here on the streets.
Okay.
And what he means by that is what's happening is there's a joint operation between, we're partnered up with like the DEA, the ATF, and the FBI. A lot of times, since it's a conjoined like operation, we give out the information of what we've done on our part with it, but we cannot give out like full information because the investigation is still ongoing. So a lot of times in those cases, we're just telling you that we're actively out there. Of course, like he mentioned about these officers, not only do we have street crimes unit that's out there, street crimes, regular patrol officers are out there doing, a heck of a job of like cleaning up areas out there on the streets, just on a tip alone. And then, of course, these other agencies then join in with us. Usually when individuals are taken federally, we try to get them federally prosecuted. Of course, that time is a much longer time frame as opposed to like state or county time. So with our joint operations with federal agencies, that's the route that we're taking. Most municipalities are doing that now.
Would you consider him one of the city's drug kingpins?
At this time, they're probably looking at him as, I don't want to call it a kingpin, but one of the major suppliers.
Yeah.
Yes, you could say a major supplier, yes.
And the 138 bundles of heroin, what is the estimated weight and street value of that?
What was that?
On the heroin, I don't have the street value, but on the synthetic weed, the street value was $53,300.
59?
$53,300.
That was separate, right?
That's separate. That's totally separate.
You said that these gentlemen had something to do with it. Can you tell me that story?
I was going to let Captain Cleary explain that to you, how they came across that.
Captain, I'm sorry, I'm getting away from us. Captain, what's your name?
Colin Cleary.
The basic information, again, as Chief Ritter said, it's an ongoing investigation. These officers, patrol officers, Colin Kearns, Matthew Novchich, were on regular patrol. They received some information. They took it upon themselves to investigate. And through their investigation, they were able to obtain a search warrant. And they were able to obtain and seize the items in question. One of the reasons that they're here is because they work day shift and it's kind of easy to drag them out here. But we want to recognize the officers' work, the patrol officers, and ask a valid question, why tell you about this? We want you to know that the patrol officers, the police officers, the detectives, the members of the Harrisburg Bureau of Police are working to try to make the city safe. And this is an excellent example of how a phone call, information from a citizen, with the proper investigation, with the proper work by patrol officers like this, can yield excellent results. I'll embarrass Mr. Novchich a little bit more. He was just hired in January. He is still in his field training. And I can segue that into the consortium. The Dauphin County Consortium is going to be testing August 25th, I believe, and the deadline for applications is August 7th. So if you're looking to be part of the solution, if you're looking to be part of the Bureau of Police, I'd encourage you to pick up an application, because this is the type of work we do in the city.
17 positions are open. If I remember the receivers meeting last week, was it 17 or 19?
19 open
And
positions.
the fire. Okay. Thank you.
So it was a tip, and then they took the tip and they properly followed through, or did they get lucky? Did they, can you elaborate?
I would say it was lucky that we had an interested citizen that gave us a tip, that gave them information that allowed them to follow through and do a proper investigation and yield the results that they did.
So is no one there at the, I'm assuming it was a residence?
There was no one present at the time the officers were there.
Can you confirm that it was a residence?
No.
And that's significant, 148 bundles of the little baggies, is that what they are?
Yes, each bundle, what, 10 bundles? So we're talking 1,300 individual, 1,300 individual bags. So yes, that's a significant, somebody's going to be sad that they lost that.
Was there any of these major marketers, like, we did stories about a month ago, Big Book, Die Hard, any of them, certain labels? I know there was certain brands.
The brand on this was Die Happy.
Die Happy. Thank you.
Catchy drug marketing for you.
Yeah. You should get hooked ones, I'm sure. Nice little food truck stand on it.
And has Die Happy been around for a while, or is that just a new brand?
They often cycle in the latest catchy names and things like that. I'd have to defer to a vice detective to really give you information on that.
Do you know whether the weapons or anything else found there will be a fingerprint or anything along those lines?
I can tell you the investigation is ongoing.
Any other questions or concerns? Thank you for your time and attention. That completes our both briefing for this morning. Thank you.
When are the safety cameras getting out here?
September?
They'll probably be live within the next 20 days.
Yeah.
The first rollout of it.
Have you put them up yet?
We're in the process of it. If that's if you see a Johnson Controls vehicle down here, that's the process.
Johnson Control.
Johnson Controls.
That's the name of the company.
I believe on Tuesday they're putting some of the infrastructure up with Dauphin County.
To next Tuesday or today, Tuesday?
Oh, I'm sorry, next Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a week from today, I know some of the infrastructure is going up, but it's very, by Labor Day, I would say, that the first phase of the project will be.
I'd like to take pictures of that.
Yeah.
That's not happening today, that I can find the Johnson's Control company.
No, it's not happening today.
And like he said, when he mentioned infrastructure, it means basically the hardware, not the
Not
actual.
outside.
Right, exactly.
And would you even really want us doing that, given, I mean, are there concerns about people trying to damage the cameras no concerns about that?
No concern.
And these are overt cameras. They're going to be marked. We want people to know that they're up there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing covert about the system we're putting them in.
Have you ever had problems with vandalism of the cameras that have been operating in the city in the past?
No, we haven't, no.